Rumor has it that I went too fast on the last video about making a player controller and doing player movement. I'm sorry. I was really fast. The other big complaint was that you guys didn't really care for the AI voice. So now you get my sultry voice and all of its wonder and glory, including all of the ums and verbal mistakes that I am about to make. Let's get started. Let's go ahead and fire up Unreal Engine 5.7.1. I'm going to attempt to do this whole thing live, all at once, with minimal tangents. I cannot promise anything, but I'm going to try my hardest, and let's see what we can do. We're going to be doing a new project, blank. This is going to be player controller slowed. Or slower. I can't do, we're just going to say slow. All right, continue. All right, I am moving very slow. So while holding the right mouse button, you can scroll, you can see the little camera thing move. Let's speed up so we can get around. 11, 12, 20, yeah. Okay. So we do not want this open world. We don't need it. So let's go over here and new level, basic, create. We are going to save this. All right. Save it. We're then going to jump into our project settings. We're going to go to maps and modes, and we're going to set it to the new map that we just named and saved. What this will do is if we close and restart the editor, it will go to the correct map, editor startup. And the other one is when you build, that's the map that it will go to. It's not that important for us right now, but it will be important in the future if you expand on this. All right, as you can see, we are in a basic map. We are in a spectator camera that has flying abilities and all that fun stuff. So what we need to do first, wow, that was fast. Slow down. Now what we're going to do, wow, is that fast? Come on, slow down. All right, there we go. 0.5, that's much better. So let's talk about what we see on screen real quick. We've got a floor, we've got a sky, we've got where our player is going to spawn, and a light, skybox, clouds, all that. We don't need to worry about that. We're going to focus on creating a player and controls to move that player around. We are going to start with making a folder for all of our wonderful blueprints to go into. Okay? In this folder, we are going to make a new blueprint class, and we are going to create a character. Let's give it a name. Okay? We've got a BP player. I name all my blueprints BP. Because they're blueprints. And that's what they're expected to be named as. All right, let's open up our BP player. Let's talk about what we have in here real quick. We have a capsule component on the root. We have an arrow and a mesh. This mesh only accepts skeletal mesh assets. I don't have any currently loaded. So what we're going to use is a static mesh of a cube. And we're going to add it to be parented under the mesh. You know it's parented if you hit the little arrow and it goes away. Okay? Now if you look, you can see the capsule box is sitting way up above it. Okay? That's not going to do us any good. So what I want to show you what's going to happen if we try doing that. Let's throw this out here. Okay? It's in the middle-ish. 0. Let's add this to say 500. That's fine. So what we can see here is that it floats above the ground. And if I hit play, it still stays floating above the ground. Let's move this up, way up. Okay? And hit play. See, when it falls, it lands. It's because the capsule is hitting the ground. That's where our collision hitbox is. So it needs to be more in line with what the cube is. This cube is 100 units tall. The radius, then, from the center to the edge would be 50. So we can set this to 50, right? Which is the half height from the middle to the top. And then the radius, we can do the same. Now, if you look real carefully in here, I think you'll be able to just see a little bit poking out. Just a smidge. Let's see what it looks like here. Let's go to the big map and take a look. Now, this will work. It's a smidge off the ground. What we can do to change that, get a little bit closer, is do like 48 on both. We can do 48 and 48. You have to change the radius first. Let's see what this does. Oh yeah, puts it right on the ground. Maybe slightly clipping through, but it's fine for me. I like it. Let's go ahead and set it on the ground. It's clipping through a little more. Let's do 49. Wow, I did that all wrong. 49, 49. Let's see what this feels like. Let's move this up. Hit end to drop it to the ground. It's clipped through a little bit. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that's a little bit better. It kind of popped it up. Yeah, I like that. That's fine. All right. So, also, you see how I got this little blue arrow here that I can do nothing with? I can't make it visible when I hit play. And I like knowing where the front of my character is. So on my mesh, I'm also going to add an arrow. This one I can see. And I'm going to move it way up to the front here. Right? I'm going to go here to hidden in game. I'm going to uncheck so that it shows in the game. I'm going to save and compile. Go back to my main map here. And let's take a look. Can I see it? I can see it. We don't want to be this floating thing. We want to be this player that's here. So we want to remove him from the scene. And we want to spawn the player we just created. Well, to do that, we do that under this game mode, the game mode base. But we're using a default one that has to be edited through C++ code and Visual Studio. If we create one using create game mode base, and we name it GMB for game mode base _ game mode. Okay. We hit save. And it opens automatically. And over here, the default pawn class, which is what will spawn in, we can select our BP player. Cool. Okay. Compile, save, go to our map, and hit play. All right, now we've got our BP player, but you can see that we're kind of inside of it because we don't have a camera. So let's say where we're going to put our camera. With our mesh selected, not the cube, the mesh, hit add, and we're going to use a spring arm. A spring arm is like the selfie stick of our player. This is what holds the camera that we will add to the end of our selfie stick. And you could see that it's there. So now, compile, save, go back to our menu. Boom, we can see it. I hate when I say boom. Can I not say boom anymore? I'm gonna make an effort to not say boom. No booms. So now we're looking through our camera. We're farther from our character. We're a little low right by default. I'd like to be more up above it, looking down. So let's make a couple little changes here. So we select our spring arm and rotate it. Let's go up, say 20 degrees, and bring our camera, go back to our spring arm, and we're going to use this target arm length that's at 300. I'm guessing 300 centimeters, 3 meters away. So we will bump that back to, say, 1,000, 10 meters away. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that's too far. That's way too far. Let's go to, say, 600. Oh, that's much better. Okay, that's a good distance. Perfect. So now we have a good view, but you can see we can't go anywhere. I have no control. No matter any buttons I click, any mouse movements I do, nothing. I can't make any movements. That's what we have to do next. So we need to make it where when we press a button or move the mouse or use the gamepad, that the player does something. To do that, we need a player controller. So what we can do here is go to Blueprint class, player controller. Player controller. Name it PC default player controller. Can open it up. I'm going to just clear this back over a little. Okay. Now, we are currently not using our controller. And I'll prove it. Let's do a quick, we can go off of begin play and we will print string. So when this controller becomes alive, we will say player controller loaded. Okay. And if we hit play, nothing appears. So we'll go to our game mode base. And we will change our player controller class to our PC default player controller. Compile, save. Now when we press it, player controller loaded. Awesome. Can I do something? Ooh, maybe that'll work. Probably what I was, yes, that's what I was looking for. So there's a reason I'm doing this, is because I want to do the same thing in the player. In begin play, I want to show you that how these load in. I can also do it in the game mode. I'm going to add all these in that they load. So you need to see something here. Game mode loaded. I'm going to pop into this level blueprint. So all the things that we kind of are loading here, right? I want to bring in. So let's start. Look at that. Oh, they all kind of loaded at the same time. Did you see that? Let's clear this log. Hit play. Wow, they were all in about the same millisecond. This error is unimportant. But here we got here. So it looks like the game mode, the level, then the player controller, then the player. Let's try it again. Game mode, map, player controller, player. Game mode, map, player. It looks like it's going to be the same each time. So what's important here is the player controller, which what I'm going to do here is bump this to a little function so I can clean things up. Collapse the function. This is going to be called timestamp. Okay. I'll do the same on everything on the other ones. The issue is that the player controller, you can do get, player character, right? And you could cast it to our BP player, okay? And we could promote to a variable. But if we did this, there is no guarantee that this player character is going to be loaded yet. Okay? So we don't necessarily we don't want to do that here. Okay? So what I would rather do, because if our player is going and they die and that pawn disappears and then we spawn a new one in, this player controller did not go away and come back. So its begin play is not, it's not going to run again. So I would rather have the BP player here in the player controller. Let's change the name of this to be player ref or player reference. And then we go to our BP player. Okay. And we are going to get player controller. Okay. We're going to cast it to a player controller, default player controller. We are going to set player reference with self. Okay. So now whenever a player spawns, it will find our player controller. Okay. And then set our reference. So if we did a player reference, right, which we can just drag out here, we can get a hold of what we need. But what if the player died or it hasn't loaded yet? We would always need to is valid before continuing on. Okay? And if it's not valid, throw a little error and say player not loaded. Okay? So we would need to do that. I don't need to get a hold of this yet, but I'm going to set it to the side because we will need that. So where are we at right now? We are right where we were. We saw how things load up. let's start figuring out how to make some movement here. Okay, now that we've got our player controller begun, we'll say begun, we are going to need inputs. So let's make a new folder named inputs. We need something to connect our buttons to our player. To do that, we are going to go here to input, and we're going to use an input mapping context. This is our map that takes a button and says, do this event. So IMC, input mapping context, default player. Okay. Now, when we look at our input mapping context, we're not currently using it. So let's go ahead and set that up in the player controller. We need to go to our enhanced, this right here, get enhanced input local player subsystem. Okay. We are going to add a mapping context. We're going to select our IMC default player. Okay. Now we are using this. So let's open up and see what's inside of this. We have our default key mappings, our input modes, registration, description. The important thing we need in here is the default key mappings. Okay. We hit plus, but we don't have anything to map to yet. So right now, the only option we have is none. Unreal Engine does not like none. If I was to try to save, it will throw an error. A mapping context cannot have an empty input action. It does not like it. Try to avoid that. So what you can do is hit the little trash can, then save, and you're fine. So let's add some input actions. Input actions are the thing your player can do. So when you hit a button, you can say, make them do this specific thing. For example, input action, walk. This will control our forward and backward motion. Okay? So we'll do that. We also, inside of that, this needs to be a 1D float that controls our forward and backwards. Okay? Let's now add our input action for strafe or walk sideways. This will also be axis 1D. Save, close. Input action for keyboard rotate. Oops. Which will have a left and a right, so we'll do our float. Okay, let's do an input action for our camera controls. This will be our mouse will be doing this, and our gamepad. So this is going to be a vector 2D. Okay, close that. What, did I just do that for keyboard rotate? I did. This is float. Save. Close. Camera Let's stay focused on what we're doing here so we don't make mistakes. All right, we also have our input of jump. What else do we need? Our jump is just a do or don't, so we can leave that as a bool. A boolean. You want to say it correctly. What else do we need? We need our camera zoom so that we can move it closer to or away. So we can do a camera zoom. This will be a 1D axis. Close. Now, how I'm going to be doing the difference between turning the camera and turning the player will be based on if you're using the left or right mouse button, right? I'm going to map this to gamepad, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in this, but I'm still going to do it just for demonstrations. But this is mostly based for keyboard and mouse setup. So we're also going to do a left mouse button, LMB. And we're going to do input action, IA, RMB. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inputs here now. Or 8 actions or events that can happen. Now I need to tell the mapping context what button does what. So here, now you can see that they're all here. Let's start with our walk. Okay? Our walk is going to be, if you hit the little keyboard thing and then hit the key you want, it's going to be W and S. Now the problem right now is that W and S both activate walk in the same way. The computer can't tell the difference between, do I want S to be forward or S to be backwards? Well, we need to tell it. So what we can do here is go to modifiers, hit the little plus, and we're going to add a scalar. That means the direction, basically it's the direction it's going to go. So W is going to be forward. From 0 to 1 will make the character go forward when we start to do our programming. So we want that. But from 0 to -1, or any negative number, will cause the player to go backwards. So when I add a scalar in my S, I would have to change all of these to -1. I am overly lazy, and I don't like to type more than I have to outside of these tutorials. So what I would rather do is hit plus again and go here to this negate. Okay? Now it will do negative values. We also want to be able to do controls with the gamepad. Oh, let me grab the gamepad. All right, I have added the gamepad. So what we're going to do is we're also going to add you see how it was gamepad. You can also just select this, go to gamepad, left thumbstick, Y-axis, okay? So let's jump to our player controller. Kind of took this out of the way for now. And let's bring in our event, IA walk. And let's see what kind of information is happening. So what we're doing is we are adding this mapping context, which so far we've only done our walk. So when we press any of these buttons, it triggers this event in our player controller. Okay? So, and this is the value that popped out. So what I want to do is we'll do print string so we can see what we have going on. Okay. I want to make it look nice. And we're going to look at what our walk value is. And this is going to be part of our action value right here. So we'll compile, save. All right. Now, if I press forward with the W key, you can see walk value is 1. And if I press the S key, the walk value is -1. Obviously, we're not doing anything. We're just reading the values. Let's see what the gamepad does. If I press forward, you can see the walk value. If I press backwards, it goes to negative. But do you see what's happening every frame here? If I just wiggle this around, I'm getting a value every frame because this controller has just the tiniest bit of stick drift. I'm lying. It has a lot of stick drift. This thing has been dropped so many times. So under anywhere that you're using your controller here, we can go to modifiers and hit dead zone. This will allow, what it will do is it won't start activating until past 0.2. And sometimes you can actually have an upper limit where it goes a little wonky at the end, like it can try to go past it. So now the joystick will only read from 0.2 to 1, but you can go less. So I'm going to show you when I say you can go less. So I press forward here, right? You can see how when I let go, it drops back down. But if I just lightly press forward here, right? It doesn't start registering until I'm past it. So if I pass 0.2 and then go down to 0.1, it will still read it until once it hits 0.1, it will only do that one frame. So you should only see a couple 1 or 2 frames below 0.2. Right? So anyway, dead zones are cool. Make sure you have a dead zone. You can also you can modify this dead zone. There are ways. So yeah, I'm not gonna mess up. Anyway, you can in a future video, you can modify dead zones so that the players can control how much dead zone they want. So we'll leave this for now. And let's go ahead and start adding in the rest of our mappings so that we can get through it. So we've done walk. Let's go ahead and add in our strafe. And it's pretty much done the same way. We've got right is D, left is A, and the gamepad will be the X-axis on the left joystick. All right? Yeah, left axis will strafe. Okay. I'm actually going to, I know I named this keyboard rotate. I'm going to just change it to just rotate because I think I can make it rotate with the gamepad. So we'll change it to rotate. No big deal. Okay, let's add in. Let's go ahead and do that. Rotate. We're going to do to the right first, E, then Q, and then we'll do our gamepad. And I got to go back and do the scalars. I forgot. Let's go ahead and do that like right now so we don't mess. We don't technically need to do a scalar. We don't technically need to do a scalar on any to the right or forwards. Anything that's positive, it automatically happens. But for the sake of completeness, I'm going to anyway. Scalar. Yep, 2 of them. Scalar. Negate. And then our gamepad needs a dead zone. And we can shrink these down. Same thing here. Scalar. scalar. Negate. Whoops, too much. I can delete one. Dead zone. Okay. We've done walk, strafe, and rotate. Let's add another. This one is going to be walk, strafe, rotate. We will do camera controls, which this will be mouse only. Mouse XY axis, right? X axis, Y axis. We need our camera zoom, which will just be the scroll wheel axis. Again, we don't need to change anything on that. We need our jump, which this will be spacebar, and we will also add the B button or the face button right to jump. Make sure we save. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we just need the left and right mouse buttons. So left mouse button. Boop, and our right mouse button. Save. So now we have all of our buttons mapped to our actions. We can close this for now. We may need to go back. So I'm going to spend a second adding all of our events here. You can see here's the events and here's the values. We're adding the events. Strafe. Rotate. Camera controls. Camera zoom. Camera controls, camera zoom. Jump. Left mouse. Right mouse. All right. These are all of the actions we currently have. I'm going to tuck this up even further out of the way. So what we're going to start with is the easiest ones. Left and right mouse button. Okay. I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to get rid of this print values on walk because that will start to clutter up the screen to no end. So let's look at what we're doing here. We need some variables here. Okay, this is our left mouse button, question mark, and our promote to variable, right mouse button. Okay. Now we want to tell these variables. All right, this is killing me because I like to be neater than this. When you click on a variable, there's a category. It's marked as default. And we're going to change this to reference. See how it puts it under a heading here that I can close? Let's do the same thing. Once you've typed one, you can just add them to this reference. Right? And you can close them. So that way we can keep things neat. You will see me do that. Do it as you need to. Do it as you want. So for the left mouse button, I care when I start doing it. I care when I complete doing it. And I care if it gets canceled. I don't want to use triggered or ongoing. Same thing with here. Started, canceled, completed. Okay? This will set the left and right mouse button. So just a super quick, just to make sure, a sanity check here. We're going to LMB down to here. And then we can do all the same thing with the RMB. We'll delete this here in a second, but let's see how it works. See, as I click it, it goes to true. When I let go, it goes to false. Same on the right. So we know it's working. Great. We don't need these anymore. And it will be setting the values that we have stored here. These are done for now. We'll come back to it later. All right. So we can go tuck these out of the way. We don't need them. What do we need? What do we want to do next? Let's do our jump. This is literally the easiest of what we got here. Now to jump, you're either doing it or you're not doing it. Okay? So what we want to do is we need to get access to our player. We need to make sure that it is there. So we're going to say is valid. I'm going to use one with the question mark. Okay? And all we're cared about is when it starts. Okay? All we care about. Now, if it is valid, we're going to take our player and we're going to type in jump. Jump. Okay? Is valid, jump. See that? See, this is the same thing we were doing up here. We can copy, paste this down. Player not loaded. Let's get rid of these. So, we get our player reference, we make sure it's valid, and we jump. Okay? That's all we really need to worry about. So let's test it. Let's go here, hit the spacebar. What? It's moving. Look, here's the gamepad. Here's the... Yes, please. This is awesome. All right. We officially have started moving. This is great. All right. We've got everything here. I'm going to tuck it up here for now. Awesome. Let's do our walking. Our walking is great. So we already messed around with what happens that the values come through. How do we use these values? Well, we're going to get our player. We're going to check and make sure that they're valid. Right? Is valid. Right? And we're going to do this on triggered. We want to make sure it's always there. Okay? So, to move our player, we are going to add movement input. This is how we move everything. And we only want to do this if the player is valid. Okay? Now we need to know where we're moving them to. So the things under this add movement input, what we're moving, which way we're moving them, and how much we're moving them. And then force means is, we don't need to worry about it. It means it will move that player no matter what. So for walk, we're going either forward or backwards. So we can do this based off of the get actor forward vector. Okay? Now this, however the character is facing, this is the line from forward, which will be along this red arrow. No matter how they're facing, it will be that way. Calculates it for you. So that's the way we're going to go. Okay? Okay? Now, how far we're going is the scale value. Right now it's set to 1. Let's see what happens if we try moving our player forward 1. Oh, it's not too bad. Right? But it always goes forward. No matter if I hit W or S, it always goes forward. We need it to be able to get from the action value. This has its problems, and we're about to talk about it, but let's find out. Remember, when I hit S, it's supposed to be negative now. Whoops, let's do it through here so you can see better. Right? Forward, negative. Awesome, it works. Now let's use our gamepad. I can control this. Now here's the issue. Every time the computer goes through a cycle, right, it triggers. So it's going to say, oh, I'm through a cycle, make him go forward 1, or whatever the joystick told him to do. Go forward 1. All right, go through the cycle again, go forward 1. Cycle 1. The faster your computer is, the more often you will get this move forward 1. So if you have a very fast computer, you will move forward very fast. If you have a very slow computer, not saying bad, just slower. They're all special in their own way. Your computer won't go as far forward. So to counteract this, we are going to multiply this value by world delta seconds. Okay? And we are going to do it here. So what this does is it says you're going to move forward however long it took from the last time you drew a frame. Okay? Now watch how this works out. But now if you can see, it's moving ridiculously slowly. I am snail speed. So we need to scale this up a little bit. So we can take this value, multiply it, right? And what we're going to do is let's make a variable, and we're going to call this walk rate. Compile so we can see it over here. And let's multiply, let's add it by, let's change that to say 100. Okay? We're also going to set this category to be speeds. So now I have my walk rate. Okay? Let's check out if this is fast enough, if this works. Forward, backwards. That's great. I love it. So now we're back to kind of where we were. And this will be the same for everybody. If you have a very slow computer, okay, or a slow frames per second or whatever, you will move at the same speed as somebody with a lightning fast computer. But here's what now, before I move on, I don't want somebody to be able to walk backwards as fast as they can walk forward. I want the backwards rate to be like half the speed. Okay? So, what I need to do is if this value is negative, right? So we're going to say if this value is less than 0, we're going to branch and we're going to throw it up here. Let's create a little bit of space here, fellas. Okay, give me some space. Okay, let's create some space. If this value is less than 0, okay, let's rearrange this. If this value is greater than 0, okay, we're going to do what we just did. Okay, bing, bing, bing. We're going to do exactly what we just did. We're going to align these. Okay. And we're going to, if this value is less than 0, we're going to do the same thing, but we are going to divide this by, say, 3. We'll put it into here. Okay. And we are going to go here and go here. And we divided it by 3. So now we have a forward and a backward. So we have a forward and a backward now. And the backward will go much slower than forward. So we've got our forward and backward movement. We've got our forward and backward movement ready. So our walk is pretty good. I'm happy with it. Now it's kind of the same thing here, right? Let's do our strafe. So we're basically going to do the same thing. We need our player reference and make sure that they're valid. Come on. Is valid. We're going to do it each time. It's fine. Okay. And we're going to add movement. It's the same thing. But instead of going forward or backward, okay, instead of going forward or backwards, I'm not going to put an error on this one because if it does error, it's just going to clog it. Anyway, since we're not going forward or backwards, we're going left or right. We need to get right vector. Get actor right vector. We're going to toss it up here. And we're going to do the same math that we were doing before. Action value times world delta seconds. Okay. And then we're going to multiply this by a promote to variable. And this is going to be strafe rate. Okay. Compile. Let's set this to 50. Set it much lower. Okay. And this should be our left and right. Now this one doesn't matter if we're going left or right. It should all be the same. So let's bring it up in our big map. And we can go left, right if we want. Anyway, let's finish doing what we need to do. We need to do our rotate. Yeah, let's do this strafe. All right. That up there. Let's do our rotate. Okay, we're going to basically do everything that's here. Okay, I'm going to toss it down here. Triggered. But instead of add movement and use our strafe rate, we're going to promote to a variable and add this as our rotate rate. All right, we need to speeds. Rotate rate. We'll set this to 100 for now. Action value. And on this one, we are going to add input, add controller yaw input. Okay. This is our rotation speed. So if we go to here and we hit play and we hit Q, it's fast. If we do it here, I'm doing my controller speeds here.
Oh, he's doing his own theme music?
Perfect. That works. The rotation speed is a little fast. I'm going to bump it down just a smidge to say 75. Yeah. It's still pretty fast. I'm going to bump it down even more. Like to 50. Let's try that. We don't need the right vector, obviously, because we're just adding that. Okay. And yeah. Boing. Mu and mu. Down, over. For view, up. And over. There we go. Okay. All right. So our rotate is done. Move it over to our list. These are all done. So what we have is our camera controls and our camera zoom. Okay. Let's do our camera zoom first. To do this, we need, again, we need our is valid. Okay. This is our triggered. But this time we need our spring. We need to get our reference to our spring arm. All right. Our spring arm is our zoom, specifically our target arm length. So we're going to set our target arm length. We also need to get the current target arm length, because we're going to end up adding the whole same thing. So we got to get we need to multiply this by our world delta. We then multiply that by a variable called zoom rate and put it in our speeds category. Compile, and let's set it to pretty slow. Let's do like 50 for now. Then we're going to get it. We're going to add it to our current, and then we're going to set this. But I don't want to be able to just zoom in or out indefinitely. So what we can do here is clamp float. Okay. And we're going to put it between, let's say I don't want to get any closer than 100, and I don't want to be any further than 1200. Okay. If it's valid. Okay. Well, I don't like, the speed needs to be much faster, and I feel like it's reversed. So instead of adding, we're going to subtract this, and our zoom rate needs to be at like 200. Okay. There we go. Let's go to the big screen so you can see it. So if I zoom in, it might even be still a little slow. Maybe it will go like up to 1,000. But we can go all the way into here, right up on it. And we can go out to here, and then it stops. Nice. Okay. Let's change the zoom rate very fast. And let's bump this back to say 200. We don't want to get too close. All right, one more test. There we go. Yeah, that's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. You might even want to push it up further if you want. All right. We've got zoom. Now we just need our mouse controls. And we have finished. So let's look at our mouse controls. So let's look at what we're getting from here. Okay, so what we can do is we'll do triggered. And we'll print. I'm not even going to add I'm just going to straight go into here. Let's see what we're getting from in here. Oh, okay, so if I move, once I click into there, once I move, you can see if I move left or right, it gives me a delta from the prior frame. Okay, so it's giving me a delta. So in that case, what we're going to need to know each frame is, are we holding the left mouse button? Are we holding the right mouse button? So we can branch, triggered. Okay. If we're not holding the right mouse button, or left mouse button, then are we holding the right mouse button? If nothing is going on, then we don't need to worry about it. So here's the thing, right? First off, let's go back here. Let's make some adjustments. Once I click into here, I can't see my mouse anymore. And if I'm doing World of Warcraft style, I want to be able to go down and click on something. So what we can do is, at the beginning up here, we can set show mouse cursor to true. Okay? Boing. Okay. So now I can show the mouse cursor. I would also like to game mode, game and UI. Okay. Game and UI. Don't select that. This is a self. This is and we'll do a do not lock here. Okay, so this should, right? Looks like everything still works. Okay. So now what I need to do is if I press the left or right mouse button, I then want to hide the mouse cursor. Okay. So what we'll do is we will, all right, so if we'll do it off of both of them here. How do we do this? So I want to, if I click, this becomes true, but I don't want to show, I want it to not show. It needs to be reversed. So what we can do is do a not Boolean, which will reverse whatever that is. Okay. Whatever this is, it will reverse, and it will do it like that. And it will hide it. Let's see what this does. And it should keep it right where it was. Perfect. Let's check it on the big screen. So, you can see that it stopped showing the mouse. Okay. Perfect. So when I click, it stops showing the mouse. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
I like that. All right. So let's start with our left mouse button. Our left mouse button will be camera controls only. So what we're going to do then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do our is valid check here. Not what I wanted. All right. We'll do our is valid check. And if it's valid, then we'll see, are you pressing mouse buttons? If it's not valid, don't worry about it. Just go away. Okay. So. Okay. So our left mouse button then should move our camera, but not the character. So what we're going to do is we are going to get our spring arm. Now our X value, we'll get our relative rotation, and then we're going to end up set relative rotation. Okay, that's what we're going to do here. All right, and get our relative rotation. Or is that what we're going to do? Yeah, we're going to set. And then we are going to same thing. World delta. With our X. We're going to multiply this by we're going to create a variable called horizontal mouse speed. I don't like that. Let's just do h_mouse speed. Now I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this because I'm going to need a v_mouse speed. Set these both. We'll set these to 100. Okay. We are going to split this. Split this. I'm going to the yaw plus this. Add to here. And let's see what this does. Okay. And I need to just pass the pitch through for now. So that doesn't change. Perfect. So I've got this. So now I can rotate the camera around. But if I, all right. So now I want to be able to change the pitch. So this times my world delta. We're going to have to figure out how to clean all this up really nice, huh? Okay, so this and this. We're going to get our pitch. We're going to add. Oh, we need times our rate. We need a rate. Multiply. Plus this. Goes to here. Let's find out. Okay. So here's the issue at hand. Let's print. Because we're going to need to see something here. Now this value is going to go to here. And we're going to print. Okay. Now watch what happens. When we go up, negative. It goes wonky at 90. So we need to limit it. I'm going to limit it at around 75. I don't want to be any more than that. Also, when we get down low, you see how once we get about to touch the ground. So I'm going to put this to about 2. So negative 75 and 2 are as far as I want to be able to go. So what that means is I need to clamp again. Clamp, float. Right? So we're going to go, our maximum is 2, and our minimum is going to be negative 75. I'm going to clamp that. We're going to put that in here. And we're going to focus on cleaning this up because I still have to do all this. So, but let's test it. And then we'll clean up our spaghetti. Up, down, up. Perfect. Nailed it. And I can make it move. All right. Now what I want to do is if I'm holding the right mouse button. All right, let's clean up first, okay? Okay. All right, that's good enough for now because we're going to be working through here. So, when I first start, okay, I'm going to go through U. We're going to check this again. Okay. When I start, if this is valid, we're going to do this again. And let's check for right mouse button. Okay. If this is true, I want to turn the player to face where I want to be. I changed my mind. I don't want to do this here. I want to do this whenever I first press the right mouse button. So let's do it up here. So we can get rid of this, right? Well, we can get rid of this and this. And we're going to put it, we're going to go to our right mouse button, which is hiding up here. Okay. And we're going to do it here. All right. We're going to do it in this area. Okay. We're going to do it here. If our player is valid, you know, okay, we're going to hide it up here. I hate when I double click. Okay, we're going to do it here. If he's valid, what we're going to want to do is get his spring arm. You know, honestly, we can just say if that's valid. Just an extra set of protections here. We're going to set control rotation. Set control rotation. Okay, we'll split this open. This will go to here. This is our controller object, so our player controller, that's what we're doing. And what we want to do is we want to get the spring arms rotation. So we're going to get target rotation. Split. Now this is what we'll do is we'll look at whatever this is. We're going to get the yaw and we're going to set it to here. Okay. Now, what that will do is it will turn the player to whatever the spring arm is rotated to. But that will keep happening. So what we need to do then is set the spring arm to match. We're going to have to set the spring arms, set relative rotation, right? To be 0. So we can split this. And this needs to be 0. But we want to pass the pitch around. So what we can do is we can get the relative rotation. And what I can do is just grab the pitch, put it in here, and leave these alone. And then this will then go to here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little dot here. Let's clean this up. And I can then drag this here. All right, let's see if this worked. So now when I press the right mouse button, this should turn and match what I was doing. So if I'm turning, boop, right? Nailed it. Liked it. It jumped. But it doesn't do it with the left mouse button. So if you look, I can turn it and I can keep walking, right? But when I press the right mouse button, it turns and faces the way I want. Perfect. I am happy with that. Okay. A little bit more, I'm pressing the right mouse button, but now that fixes this issue. So now I can just add my rotations and stuff like I was doing, kind of the same way I was doing before. So we've got all of our pitch controls down here, right? We're going to need those. We're going to need those the same way. So we're going to need this. We're going to end up using the same. Okay. Speeds, I should say. Here. All right, we're going to need all of that down here again. But what we're doing with them is going to be slightly different. So, kind of. So what we're going to do is we're going to, and this is going to be here. So this is our pitch. And we're going to be setting this to our spring arm also. So we're going to be resetting our pitch. Okay. Okay. We're going to be setting our pitch again. It's all the same. And we're going to need our pitch roll. Okay. So this should all be the same. Let's make sure that this still works even with our right. Okay. But we need to, so now what we need to do is we need to instead, we're going to do this to our player. We're going to add controller yaw, right? And this goes over here because this is going to happen after. And what we'll do is we'll bump this down out of the way. Okay. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to just add this value in to here. So now what this does is it bumps and it turns the same speed. So now we can zoom, we can turn, and this bumps it. We can jump. Do-do-do-do-do. I'm going to add a little bit more forward speed because this feels really slow. Real simple. Walk rate 200. Oh my god, 200. Walk them, make them walk faster. Boot-do-do-do-do. We can walk. We're moving. We are moving. We can turn. We can jump. Now a couple little tweaks here. You see how when I turn, like the camera, right? And then I can like rotate and that camera's there. What you can do with this fun stuff, you go to your player, go to your spring arm, clear this. You can get this wonderful enable camera lag, rotation lag, blah, 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 blah. The smaller this number, the more it lags. So what you can do is we can give it like a little bit of a feel. You see how like I can turn really fast and the camera lags behind. Makes it fun. Like, see how like the player moves a little bit? You just gotta be careful that you don't overdo it. So what you can do in that is you can set like a maximum lag distance. And we would probably say 5. And it will, right? And maybe even a little less. Let's do like 2. Okay, let's go back to the big one. Yeah, so like the camera catches up. But that's all. I think that's everything that we need to do. I think we've got good player motion. We got good, like I said, we got everything we want. That will give us movement. I think the next video, a little bit, and I'll keep it at a slower pace. I need your feedback on if this was the right speed or not. Or if this was just now too long. Do you want something in between? But this is what we got. This is what I'm doing. This is technically a full repeat of the last video at a much better speed. So we'll go from there and let me know what you want to hear next. And I am off. Thank you for watching.